This is how genocides in the history of the world happen. The symbolic extinct, the symbolic genocide, the symbolic, and we saw that and we continue to see that. We've seen it for decades, and we see it ramping up with the pulling down of white statues, irrespective of what they did in this world, no matter how anti-white they were, pulling these things down, drowning them symbolically in rivers, drowning them symbolically in lakes, hanging them with nooses on lamp posts symbolically. White people, ladies and gentlemen, it is only acceptable. Why? Because we are in an anti-white narrative where the moral imperative is to inflict injury on Western kind. How can you stay in this story any longer? The final pages for us are bloody as all hell. You have to get out of their story. What if we were talking about Jewish people and somebody had said about Jewish people, Delport had said about Jewish people that there was something ethical about them disappearing? Now, we would never harm, and me personally would never advocate the harm of any person on the basis of any immutable characteristic whatsoever. Not Jewish people, not Eskimo people, not Hispanic people, not anybody should be harmed on the basis of their immutable characteristics. They are born with what they are, and they're going to be what they are, the same as a panda bear, a scorpion, a frog. Maybe some people know that Aesop fable. They're going to be what they're going to be. And so nobody should be hurt, harmed, or whatever for what they are. But in this anti-white world, it is acceptable. It is laudable. It is a six-figure salary at Duquesne University. Yes, alumni, you are responsible for that SOB. You better fire his ass, because every single one of you, all of your names are listed. Everybody financing that university, you are all responsible. You and your children and all your relatives and the places you work, all responsible. Your clients, responsible. You better get right. You better get right in our story, because we have a new tale to tell. And it's one in which we are the champions, we are the heroes, and we are putting our foot down when it comes to anti-whiteism. No more, my friends. You all will begin losing your jobs. Your businesses will begin going under like others that we've already taken it to as a consequence of being anti-white. The reality is that most white people spend their whole lives only engaging black people in subservient positions. What is the opposite of that anti-white wants? The only way to cure what he's saying here, except for white people not to exist anymore, is for black people to be in all superior positions. That's the inverse of what he says there. If white people are in a superior position, ipso facto, they are, according to the anti-white narrative, racist. You're going to have a discussion with any of these people? You're going to try to debate with them what the anti-white concept racist means? Think again. We produce Western civilization. We don't produce whiteness. Whiteness is a concept that they use, and it is also somebody who has a venereal disease produces whiteness. So you don't use it. Never say whiteness. Never say whiteness. This is as much their concept as racist. You never say whiteness. It is anti-whiteism. They're never anti-whiteness. These people use it all the time. The actionable definition is all that matters. And the actionable definition is what is in the hearts and eyes and ears and mouths of those many millions of our brothers and sisters around the world when they receive these messages. You don't have time to read them in on your new dictionary definition. And it doesn't matter anyhow, because they know what everybody else thinks is what they were thinking a moment before. And they're going to stick out of fear with what everybody else thinks. The more complex the animal, the more complex the expression of the instinct. And at some point, we see what we refer to as culture, that in the aggregate, as a people, a specific people, produce their instinct onto their environment. They project it onto their environment. That we call culture. You cannot get rid of it without getting rid of the source of it. You can call that culture. You can't stop him from doing that and being that without biologically erasing him from the planet. That is the only way to achieve it. This is what the anti-whites are saying. You have to You have to cease to exist. What you produce has to cease to exist. And the only way to cease to do what you do is to not exist. Then he says the goal has to be to dismantle white culture and ultimately white people themselves. This SOB, this flaming feces is saying to the world the truth in his heart, in the blackest hole that is his heart, or where a heart would be. Because he knows very well that you're not going to be able to get rid of what white people create without getting rid of white people. This person has deep beliefs, spiritual, religious beliefs in superstitions. You can't talk him out of it. It doesn't matter how much information you give him. In his world, white people control the West for the benefit of white people, for the enrichment of white people, and the exact opposite is the truth. That's how he's able to write this shit. If white people controlled the world for the benefit of white people, Latrine here would be living in one because of how much he hates and how much he wants to destroy us. Latrine defines white people caring about our well-being, white people caring about our children, white people caring about what we have created. He defines that as white supremacy, the ultimate evil in Western civilization. Why Western civilization? Because the anti-whites dominate it, not white people.